Hey everyone, it's Naomi Sneakus and welcome to the Firecracker Department Aftershow. This is when we group in together some of the core team members, some of the community in the Firecracker Department, and we talk about past episodes. And today we have the bestest, I mean, it's always the bestest, who's kidding who, but we've got a great panel today. We've got AJ Edmonds, who's in Toronto right now, sometimes in Los Angeles. She's in charge of content creation. Sarah Deakins, who's in Toronto, and she's in the world of script department. We've got Emily Churchill in LA, and she's in the world of the wellness department. Thrilled to have you here because we're talking about somebody who I just adore, Lauren Kisilevsky, who is the VP of the original movies in Disney World, in the world of Disney. And I met her through working on Disney Zombies, but I just adore this person. And I knew, like, as soon as I met her and we had the podcast going, I was like, oh, I need to sit down with her because she's just such a dynamic, fun, and interesting and smart person. I'd love to hear what you thought about my chat with Lauren. Sarah, what did you think?
I loved that she something really early on she said that really resonated for me was she said, don't write to prove how smart you are. Which I just loved because
that.
I got that same note when I first started writing. Was somebody told me, don't put all the things you know you do well in one thing. You're going to make more things. They can be spread out, you know. And it was essentially the same kind of note, which is don't write for, look at me, I'm smart. It was such a great, note.
With our podcasts, when I'm like, oh, I'm going to give you a fact that I know about. And is this a fact that's going to help the listeners? Or is the fact be like, look how smart I am? She's fantastic. AJ, what do you think?
I mean, I just, from a development perspective, it's a world I understand. And I loved her being like, there's always the bullshit paragraph. And it's the paragraph. It's the one you feel obligated to write at the beginning before you tell someone your honest thoughts. And I don't know, because she is Canadian. And I do think that is actually a systemic thing in Canada that we're like, we want to cautiously offer honest thoughts so as to not offend. And in my experience, in a lot of cases, we actually sometimes miss the like, let's make it a better project. This isn't personal, you know. And she talked a lot about how to get to the point and ensure that, you know, the interpretation is we're here to make it something better, not you should stop doing this as a career and, you know, pack your bags, figure it out.
Yeah. Emily, that hit a chord for you?
Oh, well.
I like your eye roll.
Oh, no, I didn't mean, I'm so sorry. My eyes do.
No, like, oh boy, does that ever resonate? That's the eye roll I got. You're like, oh boy, does that ever resonate for me?
Yes, of course it does. I mean, I think for anybody in the arts, we deal with that. The one thing, I think what I was thinking of is she didn't go to graduation for college because she drove out to LA. That was me. I was getting a marketing degree is what my degree was, but I was in theater most of the time. And so I packed up my Chevrolet Beretta, okay, and packed that puppy up and I drove to Chicago. I didn't go to my graduation. And when she said that, I was like, oh, me too. Oh, that's great. But then I was like, okay, does that mean I'm gonna, I don't know. And my car broke down and it was a situation. And I had a gateway computer that was probably as big as my desk. So, I mean, it was a moment. But I was just like, oh, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. I also love Naomi.
Oh yeah, go ahead, AJ.
One thing I really loved is that, you know, talking to development execs, you don't often think that they fit into the artist category. Mm-hmm. And it's always was so frustrating for me working in development with these other incredible minds, because so much of development is working with writers to improve and to see outside of, you know, it's so hard to write and you can be so insular in what you see and how the story is moving, that having and being open to development executives looking at it and working with ones that are honestly and genuinely looking at the bigger picture and the success of a project is just so important. And I was so pumped that you brought a development exec into our, you know, artists world, because a lot of the time we don't evaluate, you know, people in the executive space as having artistic vision.
Yeah, but she does, like, even her vision about how to do note giving and note taking. Like, I love that perspective of critical thinking towards a project. Like, that really opened my mind, because I think it is such a craft of giving notes, do you know? And even like giving somebody a note so that they don't just shut down, but they actually open themselves to hearing more. Hey, Sarah?
Yeah, she said that great thing. You're just leading right into the next thing I was going to say about her. She said that great thing about don't give a note unless you know it can help. Like, just the note you give has to be something that helps the writer, and they go, oh, now I know what to do, rather than the third act sucks and I don't know what to do with that,
Yeah.
It's such a nice,
Yeah, well,
refreshing thing to hear from an executive.
Yeah, giving a note that encourages development as opposed to shutting down. Like
Yeah.
we're artists, right?
Yeah.
Our egos are fragile. So like do something that's gonna not just like stop the growth, but actually encourage more.
Yeah,
Anything
constructive
else?
and yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Sarah. Anything else from you, AJ?
I was just identifying with a lot of what she was saying, like no one likes making mistakes less than me. And, like the pursuit of a kind of perfection when you know that it's unattainable, especially in an environment that's built on emotion and storytelling. And, to be that self-aware makes someone an incredible leader. And so I just thought it was such an awesome interview.
Thanks. Any final notes from you, Emily?
I just keep looking at learning to fail.
I was just going to bring that up. Good one.
Right? I think that is so important for us as artists, right? Because it's and I would like to reword the word fail, but I don't know how to right now. Quarantine brain. But learning from the mistakes in quotes, it's not mistakes, right? But learning from what you're doing and being like, oh, you know what, I'm going to try something different next time, and like being creatively moving forward with all of your decisions, I think is super important.
You do that a lot too, Naomi. You say that. It reminded me of you because you say, okay, everybody, let's make some mistakes together. And I always think that's such a lovely way to put it, because it takes the pressure off of, what if I screw it up, so you don't even want to try. But the idea that like the more mistakes we make, the more we learn is such a great, it just really reminded me of you. She reminded me of you.
Lovely. Oh, well, thank you. Oh my gosh. I was just so enamored, like that somebody like her is in that position. Like it gave me such hope for our community because she is such an artist in a whole other category, as you said, AJ. And it reinforced like even that discussion of like challenging conversations. I just loved how she approached it as it was a learning conversation, as opposed to it was like oh, I'm gonna throw up in my mouth conversation. So yeah, I'm just such a fan of hers. AJ, anything final? Anybody else?
I like that you talked about throwing up for AJ.
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of
where are they
barf
going
talk.
with this? Puke talk.
Yeah. Speaking of, this is a horrible segue.
Here we go.
Speaking of puke talk, what are you guys puking up these days? Oh, that's the worst segue I've come up with so far. But AJ, what's going on in your world?
I just entered into a 30-day writing challenge, which I'm on day 8. And yeah, it's a tough one. One short story every day for 30 days is an absolute challenge, but I'm loving it. So that's one area. And then, of course, working on Naomi Gets Schooled, getting those episodes ready to rock and ruin, doing some edits. So yeah, it's my world.
So loving that. That's my jam too right now. Naomi Gets Schooled, which is on Mondays on our Firecracker Facebook group, and eventually it's going to be on a YouTube channel. And here is a little like, I don't know, behind the curtains fact is that Eliza, who taught me how to fence, is her daughter, Lauren's daughter. So she set it up so that I know, isn't that the best? So Eliza came in and taught me how to fence, which I just loved. I loved that we have these little firecrackers that we're calling sparklers, teaching me not only like cheerleading and slime making and crafts and nail polish putting onness, English, but then also fencing. And I've got somebody teaching me how to do drag makeup coming up. So it's a great buffet of skills. What about you, Sarah? What's coming up for you?
We just did a full read through of my feature film that's hopefully going to be made next year. So that was exciting. And then we're working on, in the script department, Firecracker script department, we're collecting scripts for the next round, which the theme is road trip. So we're excited to read all those scripts.
Can't wait. Emily?
Well, I'm actually taking a Kabbalah class. You just reminded me, AJ. I'm taking a Kabbalah class and learning to read tarot right now, so I can broaden my horizons.
I love it.
I love it. And you do meditation with Firecracker Department every Sunday on our Facebook group, which people are just loving. So if you are on your computer, if you by chance happen to be on some form of social media, go over to firecrackerdepartment.com, subscribe to our newsletter, listen to a podcast, join our community. There's always a chair for you at the Firecracker table. And let us know what you think about the podcast you're listening to and all the other events that we have going on, because there's really there's something for everybody. All right, everybody, this is the Firecracker Department After Show. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.